Hey guys, and welcome to Petrol Ped. Now, one of the most common comments I've had so far about my Porsche 718 Spider is to do with the satin PPF over the crayon paintwork. But did you realise that having PPF on your car could invalidate your insurance? So I think we should probably start this video by asking the question, why have PPF or paint protection film in the first place? What does it do? Well, it's one of the many things you can do to your car to help protect the paintwork. And for me, there's kind of two things. There's paint protection film, but you can also have a range of different coatings and ceramic coatings. And as many of you probably know, I'm working with the guys from Wax is Dead, and we're going to be doing a number of videos on this. We're planning them at the moment. They'll be coming to the channel very, very soon. But you could put a ceramic coating on your car. This is the top level Wax is Dead ceramic coating. And what this will do is will protect the paint. It will help the car be easier to clean. It will bead water off and just give you a really nice protection on the paintwork. But what it won't necessarily do is protect you from paint damage from things like stone chips and people marking or scuffing next to the car. That is what paint protection film does. So what is paint protection film? How is it applied? How much does it cost? And why does it affect your insurance? So this is the stuff. PPF, paint protection film. It's basically a relatively thick layer of clear vinyl that you apply to the car. Now, when I bought my first Boxster, that's when I first started working with the guys from Wax is Dead and Fresh Layers. They PPF'd that car. And the process is one, I mean, I guess you could have a go at doing it yourself, but I watched it. It's such a skillful process. The first thing to do is make sure the car is super clean. And then you apply this vinyl, and it's got like a backing paper on it. First off, they have a template for the car. So each body panel of the car, they'll cut out the shape of the vinyl for that particular body panel. This is just a piece of offcut that they've got. And you can see kind of, this is satin. And then this one here is gloss. So I had gloss on my Boxster and I've got satin on the Spider. So they cut out the panels of vinyl for each of the body panels of the car. And then they apply like a solution. There's like one slip solution to help them maneuver the panels onto the body of the car. And then there's also then a glue solution. And then they squeegee off all of the solution, and you end up with what really is something you kind of can't see it's there. When you look at a glossed PPF car, you really can't see it's there. The telltale signs, if you look at the very edges of the body panels, you might be able to see the edges of the PPF. And obviously this one is a satin finish. So actually on my car, if you look on the inside edge of the wing mirrors here, you can see that it's still got the gloss paintwork. Now the difference between PPF and wrapping, so when you put a vinyl wrap on a car, you're typically changing the color of the car. When you wrap a car, to do it properly anyway, you really need to start taking the car apart. You take body panels off, because what you don't want to be able to do is see any of the original color of the car. So wrapping a car is a much more in-depth process. It's likely to cost you more. It's likely to take more time if it's done really, really well. Whereas with PPF, you generally don't have to remove any of the body panels. You may well remove things like badges, put the PPF on and then put the badge on top of the PPF to make it look really, really neat. And then when you do a PPF on the car, your choices are which bits of the car would you do. On my Boxster, I had what Fresh Layers called a track pack, but it was basically just the front end of the car. So the front valance, the bonnet, the wings, down the side sills of the car, and then maybe on the rear arch where you get stones flicking up from the rear wheels. And that's really there to protect the car if you're doing something like a drive tour or a track day. And the prices will vary from installer to installer and from car to car. But for a front end PPF track pack style covering, you're probably talking maybe £1,500 to £2,500, something of that order. This car, because as soon as you go down the satin route, because you're covering the whole thing, you need to do the whole car. So the cost's going to go up. Now, clearly it depends on how big the car is. This car has the advantage of, has a canvas roof, so you're not going to put any PPF on the roof. But a full PPF on a car could be anything from sort of £4,000 to £6,000 or £7,000, depending on the car and the complexity of the bodywork and so on. And once it's on, this stuff is what we generally refer to as self-healing. So I'm not going to get it out, but if I got a car key out, you can kind of put little scratches in this, and the heat of the sun, it will kind of self-repair small scratches. The really cool thing as well is when you're washing the car, you don't have to be quite so anal about swirls and so on, because the PPF self-heals. And then once you've got PPF on the car, you can then ceramic coat on top of the PPF to give it that ceramic coating. So that in a nutshell is what PPF is. So I guess the big question is, what do you classify as a modification? Well, for me, a modification is anything that you do to your car that wasn't done at factory. And before I continue, by the way, because I know what YouTube's like and I know what comments are like, I'm leaning against my car, but because it's got PPF on it, it's not a problem. So PPF, on the whole, is done as a post-purchase fit by a third party. Even this car. So this car was PPF'd by the first owner of the car, and the request was put in to Porsche, the Porsche centre he bought it from, that he wanted it PPF before it was picked up. That Porsche centre outsourced the PPF to a local specialist that they used. So when the car was collected on day one, it had PPF on it, but it was still a post-manufacture modification. I guess there may well be some instances where the PPF is put on in factory, but I really doubt it very, very much. I've got a good friend of mine who's got some issues with the car he owns currently, and actually the PPF was requested by him from the manufacturer. It was outsourced, but the PPF bill was actually on the invoice of the car. So technically it was a from manufacturer fit, even though it wasn't done by the manufacturer in the factory. So PPFing is a modification. And whenever I've modified cars in the past, I've tried to make it clear in my videos that it is super important that you declare any modification at all, irrespective of how major or minor it is. You need to declare that to your insurance company, and then they can make up their mind how that affects your policy. And that is where we may well run into some issues. I started this video with a pretty bold statement. I said that having PPF on your car could invalidate your insurance. Let me expand on what I mean by that. There's kind of two potential issues here. Issue number one, we've kind of just covered. PPF, by the vast majority of insurance companies, is seen as a modification. And therefore, if you haven't declared your car has PPF, you haven't declared a modification, and the insurance company are quite within their rights to not cover you should you have to claim on your policy. So I think the issue is likely to be either, like me, you've bought a car that has PPF on it and you don't really or didn't think of it as a modified car and didn't tell your insurance company, or you decide to have some PPF applied to your car and again, you didn't consider it to be a modification, so you didn't tell your insurance company. If you're in either of those two camps, I strongly advise, just for safety's sake more than anything else, a call into your insurance company to just say, I have PPF on my car, can you amend my policy please? The next thing you might well run into is, I am aware, and this is really thanks to me working with Lockton Performance, my insurance partner, of a number of insurance companies that will not cover a car that has PPF. So it may well be that you call in and you speak to your insurance company and you say, I've got PPF on my car, and they say, that's fine, thank you very much for telling us, it's a modification, it's okay on your policy, or in some cases they might say, it's a modification and will increase your premium slightly. However, it may well be that some of these direct insurance companies, when you ring up and speak to them, they will say, actually, we don't cover cars with PPF, therefore we cannot cover your car. And I know a couple of people who that has happened to. So I'm not scaremongering here at all. All I'm doing is I wanted to put this video out there because I know so many people. Since I found out about this issue a few weeks ago, I've kind of polled and talked to a few of my friends, and lots of them have gone, really? You've got to declare PPF to your insurance company. So all I'm suggesting is ring up your insurance company and talk to them about PPF on your car. And hopefully they'll go, that's not a problem, your car is covered. But in some cases, it may well be that your car isn't covered and the insurance company will not cover a car with PPF, and you need to find alternative cover. Now, as it happens, both of my cars are insured with Lockton Performance. This car has PPF on it. I notified them when I first insured the car, and it's not a problem at all. The Macan, that's getting PPF early in the new year, and when that gets PPF, I will notify Lockton, and Lockton will say, not a problem at all, Mr. Greaves, the car is covered. The big question I have though is, why the hell would an insurance company not insure a car if it's got PPF on it? Doesn't make sense, right? If I'm honest, I am at a bit of a loss as to why having PPF on your car might make it uninsurable. I've had direct experience. When I had my Porsche, I had a little incident on the left-hand wing. I had a little bit of impact, and the PPF saved the paintwork. I got one of those lovely men to come out and roll out a dent in the car. And actually, the whole thing, you'd never even know it was there, completely saved by the PPF. In fact, we didn't even have to remove the PPF. We just polished it, and it was absolutely good as new. So having PPF on a car will help those minor claims. I guess a few things. I guess the first one would be, if you had a bigger incident, often to repair the paintwork, you would need to remove the PPF, and therefore you need to put it back on again. So there's an increased cost in the repair. That might be one reason. Reason number two might be, if you're putting a track pack on a car like I did, a big driver for doing that may well be that you want to do more kind of close quarters driving, drive tours, track days, those types of things. And maybe that increases your risk profile as a policy holder, maybe. And then maybe you're likely to be a bit more enthusiastic in your driving. But the other side to that, the flip side to that is, for me, people who put paint protection film on cars are typically wanting to look after their cars, give them some more love, make sure that they stay in the condition that they got when they bought them. So it's a really tricky one. And honestly, I don't have an answer. And I don't think this video, it certainly wasn't meant to it's not a clickbait or a scaremongering video at all. I found out that information through talking at an event recently with the guys at Lockton's, and I just thought, oh my goodness me, people just know, they don't know that, they need to know it, it's really important, and that's why I put this little video together. So my conclusions are, first things first, I think PPFing a car is an expensive thing. So clearly, for me, there's probably a budget or a price of car that below that point, it's probably not necessarily worth putting paint protection film on it. So it is more the kind of higher end, more expensive cars. I don't know anybody who owns a supercar that hasn't had it PPF the second they bought it, for example. And it would have been a case for this car, had it not had PPF when I bought it, it would have had it very, very quickly, because I just want to maintain the paintwork and protect it as much as possible. So I know it's an expensive process. But I didn't see it as a modification. You know, if I put a new exhaust on this car, or if I put a tune on the Mini, or if I change the tyres to a different brand, or if I change the wheels, or change the brake pads, little things like that, all of those things I would notify my insurance company. I wouldn't even think to do that for paint protection film. The same, by the way, would also apply if you've had your car wrapped. It's exactly the same. Maybe that's a more obvious modification because you're changing the colour of the car for a start. But it's exactly the same rules apply if you've had your car wrapped and you haven't told your insurance company, pick up the phone today and call them, because you never know. You may well be driving around in a car that is not insured, and that is clearly not a good thing. If you've had experience of this, please put in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. If you've got any theories about why PPF is something that some insurance companies won't touch, I'd love to know your theories on that one as well. But I hope you found that useful. If you did and you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Petrol Ped for plenty more content to come. Lots more stuff planned with the Spider and the McCann, with the guys from Wax is Dead and Fresh Layers, especially on the McCann side of things, and actually on the Mini as well. But we're in very early stages of planning that project, but the results are going to be pretty epic, to be honest. Anyway, I shall see you on the next film. You take care, guys. Drive safe.